So quite some time ago, somebody asked if I could do a type of video where I talk about how I maxed my account, like what type of training methods I use, and I thought that that would be a cool idea to explore, and let's go ahead and do it today. Now, I know I have said it in the past, but I'll say it again. A lot of these skills, I did the very AFK route, which means that it was very slow to level, but because I was busy with school or other things, it was the perfect way for me to level up my account. Now obviously there's going to be some other methods that are much faster, and if you have time to do it, then go ahead and do it. But for me, since I was busy a lot of the time while I was playing this game, these AFK methods really helped out. So as for the first couple skills, these can really be grouped together, being attack, strength, defense, range, and hit points. Those were mainly trained through either Slayer or a little bit of NMZ. There was a time where I was just going to NMZ with full Darox and just leaving it there for a couple hours. It has been some time since I've done NMZ, but I think all I really had to worry about was making sure that I had enough absorption and that my HP was at 1. And if I did that right, then I could pretty much last there for a very long time. I think at one point I was getting 6-hour logged whenever I was doing that. So yeah, pretty good method, pretty decent XP, and not much effort needs to be applied to that. Now, this was before OSRS mobile was a thing, so now it's easier, but back then I do believe I was using Chrome Remote Desktop. That was a really helpful tool that I used to level up while I was away from my computer. And I do remember looking it up to see if Chrome Remote Desktop was safe to use, because at first I wasn't sure if it was like a bannable offense or anything. I think there were some people that were getting banned because it was triggering like the bot detection, but it was safe to use. And now that we have mobile, there's really no need for it, so even better. So that pretty much covers the combats. For ranged, I don't believe I ever used chins because I didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't really want to waste millions training that. I'm pretty sure I just did that through definitely Slayer, and I think a little bit of NMZ. NMZ is still a good training method for range, but it is still a little pricey, so if I didn't have a lot of money, then I was definitely just doing it through PVM. But as for the next skill, we have Prayer, and for this one, I'd say about 90% of it was done at Gilded Altars. I just used Dragon Bones, and yes, this was a very expensive 99 to do, but it was worth it. I think I sat around 77 Prayer for a while, because that's whenever you unlock the last Prayer you need, so going past that really isn't necessary unless you have a lot of money to spend. Now as for the other 10%, I'd say I did it in the Wilderness at the Wilderness Altar, because there you have a chance of saving a bone. I believe it's 50% chance, so it's pretty good if you're low on money, but keep in mind it is dangerous because it is in deep wilderness, and that spot is a very active PK spot. The way that I was doing it is I was only taking an inventory of Dragon Bones. I wasn't taking any noted ones because if you do that, you run the risk of losing a lot of money. So I would just take one inventory, and as for my 3 items that I would bring, I'm pretty sure it was like Black D'hide, and definitely the Din's Bulwark, and I think also the Serpentine Helm. And with that and my protection prayers, I could tank long enough to use all of the bones in my inventory, so it was never a problem. The only reason why I switched to the Gilded Altars in POHs is because I was lazy and I was either doing something else. And if you use those Gilded Altars, it is expensive, but it is pretty AFK because you can just select one bone and then use it on the altar, and your character will slowly use all 28. Now of course you can manually use each bone on the altar, which is a lot more click intensive, but you will get a lot more XP. Now I'm pretty sure I got 99 Prayer before Vorkath was a thing, so Superior Dragon Bones weren't out yet, but even if they were, I probably still wouldn't use them just because of how expensive they are. Dragon Bones are a pretty decent price and you get a nice amount of XP per each one. On to the next skill, we have Magic, and again this was one that I did through a mixture of things. I did it through PVM, of course. I did some High Alking, and I believe I did the last bit of it, 94 to 99 at Maniacal Monkeys, with Ice Barrage and Best in Slot Magic. Now this was pretty expensive, but it was by far the best Magic XP that I was getting. I believe at one point I was getting over 300,000 an hour, so it was pretty nice. Something that blows my mind with this skill is that I'm able to remember what show I was watching. Because it didn't take very long to hit 99, especially with those XP rates. There was one movie in particular that I was watching. I forget the name of it, but I know exactly what it was about. Anyways, I think at the time I was buying the Kodai wand and selling it overnight just so I didn't like have it crash on me, but at the time when I bought it, I do believe it was around 113 mil. And again, this is just useless information that I remember for whatever reason, but I do think it's kind of funny. Now on to the next skill, we have Runecrafting, everybody's favorite skill, and for this one, I used lamps, diary lamps, any quest rewards, Tears of Gothics. I did not want to train runecrafting whatsoever. I think all the way up to like 55 or maybe even 60, it was all from Tears of Gothics and diary lamps and rewards. I hated the skill, but one day I realized that I needed to train it, so I think I did the ZMI method, and I think that took me like 2 or 3 days to get it up to 77, and from there it was smooth sailing, blood runecrafting all the way to 99. Very AFK, but it did take me quite some time. I believe it took me like 3 months to finally get 99. Now, I did end up getting the runecrafting pet twice. I believe it was like 100,000 or 200,000 XP in between each one, so it was pretty close together. But if I didn't get the runecrafting pet, I would definitely be doing that whenever I'm just chilling, because blood runecrafting is pretty chill and it's some decent money. I took a picture of the loot that I got from all of the blood runes. I think it was like 180 mil or something like that. If I have the picture, I'll throw it up. Construction is our next skill in this lineup, and this was another very expensive skill. I don't remember how much exactly I spent doing it, but it was a very expensive journey. Very fast journey, but very click intensive and very expensive. So I started off doing all of the stuff that you can do, I guess. I think it was like chairs, and then oak larders, and then after that, I think it was mahogany tables all the way to like 80 or 85, somewhere around there. And then once I hit that, I think I was out of money, or I was running lower on money, so I decided to do oak dungeon doors the rest of the way to 99. Now, of course, the oak dungeon door method isn't as fast as the mahogany tables, but it was a lot cheaper for me, so it worked out well. And nowadays you have the new update like mahogany homes, where you can train construction a different route. So yeah, if you don't like the click intensive method or the very expensive method, then you can go ahead and try that out. And yeah, although oak dungeon doors was a painful grind to 99, I mean, it was very click intensive, but at least I had it set up to where I didn't really have to move the mouse too much. It was just a lot of clicking, but besides that, I mean, it was pretty cool to have that done. Having that 99 is very helpful because you get the construction cape, and with that you have unlimited teleports to your POH, which is very helpful. Now, hit points, we've already gone over that. Agility, the next one. Agility, I'd say, is my least favorite skill. I don't know what it is about it, I just don't like it very much. But I did do... what did I do? I did some quests, and then I think my first agility course was Varrock Rooftops. I want to say it was Varrock Rooftops. I did that until I think I unlocked Canifis, and then I did Canifis to get my graceful outfit, and then I think from Canifis I moved over to Sears Village, and Sears Village is pretty good XP, especially when you have that diary done that lets you teleport to the starting point again. So I'm pretty sure I did that all the way until I want to say 85 or 86, and then I started using Summer Pies to boost to the Arduin course. Now, I did try the course in Prifddinas when it came out, but I didn't really stay there very long. I think I did maybe a total of like 150 laps, and that was about it. And unfortunately, I did not get the squirrel pet, so I'm gonna have to go back and do some agility to get that done. But I'll probably go and do the Hallowed Sepulchre so I can get the black graceful and the recolor for the squirrel, but that's probably a long ways down the road. On to the next skill, we have Herblore. This is another very expensive method. I don't really remember what I did to train the early levels. I think I was just doing the best potion that I could do at my level. So every time I leveled up and unlocked a new potion that I could make, I went ahead and did that. And then as soon as I unlocked, I believe it was Bruise, Ceridome and Bruise, I did those all the way to 99. Now, I probably would have taken a different method if I was low on money, but by this time, I'm pretty sure I had a sizable cash stack, so I just went the most expensive route that I could go. and it was pretty fast, and I got it done in a couple days, so it wasn't that bad. Now the next skill, Thieving, I did this one. Man, what did I do for this one? The early levels I can't really remember. I think I did a bit of blackjacking, and before that, I'm not really sure what I did, to be honest. I can't really remember, but I just know that most of my thieving was from the Arduin Knights. As soon as I unlocked the ability to thieve from those guys, I pretty much just did them all the way to 99. And of course, this was before the update which added the coin pouches, so it wasn't as annoying to have to empty those coin pouches, but it still was a lot of clicking. And just like the magic skill, I remember a couple of the movies that I was watching during that time. That was another skill that I just stayed there until I got the 99, so I was there for a couple days, but once I got it, I was very happy to be done with it. And I did get the raccoon pet. I believe it was at around 92 thieving, somewhere in the 90s, but yeah. Not a very fun skill, but it is pretty fast, especially when you get to the level where you can't fail the pickpocket anymore. Now up next we have the crafting skill. This was another one where I just kind of did whatever I had the level to do. I didn't do glass making, which I think, or glass blowing. I think that's a pretty good method for Iron Man, but as far as regular accounts, I'm not sure how good it is. I know for crafting, I did a lot of gem cutting, and towards the end, I did a lot of d'hide bodies. I think for the most part, I was doing black d'hide bodies up until 99. I think I even mixed in some battle staff making, attaching the orbs to the battle staffs. But besides that, yeah, it was a pretty straightforward skill, kind of like Herblore. I just did whatever I had the level to, and I'm pretty sure I had enough money to buy 99, so I just went the most expensive route. Well, maybe not the most expensive route, because I guess you could buy onyxes and zenites if you wanted to and just cut those, but I don't think there's enough in the market to sustain that training method. Now, fletching is the next skill in the lineup. I do believe this was my second 99. And for this one, it was, again, I wasn't very informed. I could have done darts, since darts is very quick. I know there's been some world records that have been set to get, you know, from 1 to 99 fletching, like in 2 hours or 3 hours, something crazy like that. So if you have the capital, you can definitely finish this 99 in the fastest amount of time. But again, I wasn't very rich at the time, so I do believe I was actually cutting logs into longbows unstrung, and then I was stringing those. So not the most efficient, but I worked with what I had and I made a little bit of money at the end of it as well. And actually, my most recent video was me doing the magic longbows, stringing those. That's what I did for the last bit of 99, and as you saw, it was some pretty nice XP along with a nice amount of money as well. Now on to the next skill, we have Slayer, and this one there's really not too much to talk about. I mean, you kind of just get tasks and then do them. I do believe my first task was from Vanica, because by the time I started Slayer in Members Worlds, I already had 60 attack, strength, and defense. So I hit up Vanica for a task, and he gave me a blue dragon task, which was very daunting to be, you know, a first Slayer task, but I did end up getting through it, and I pretty much just used the Slayer Master that I had the level to use. So I used Knee for quite a while, and then towards the end, I obviously used Duradel, and I did pretty much all the tasks. I don't think I ever skipped a task with, I don't even know that guy's name. The guy in Berthorpe, I think? Or, yeah, it's either Berthorpe or Canifis, where you can skip a task for free. Like, he gives you like a really low level task to do instead. So yeah, I never did that. If I skipped a task, it was always with points, or I just had it on my block list. And Slayer is obviously one of the more enjoyable skills because you get to, of course, kill monsters and make a nice bit of money, especially when you unlock some of the higher level monsters and their boss variants. I was actually considering doing some sort of series where I rebuild. I basically start from scratch. I mean, not completely. I'd probably keep my untradables, but I would see how much money I could make just from doing Slayer. I don't know. It could make for a cool series, but we'll see. It would be kind of silly if I tried it out and my first task was to kill like Alchemical Hydra or something, and I didn't have enough money to even buy decent gear for it. If I had to like punch it to death or something, that would be pretty entertaining, I guess, but we'll see how it goes. The next skill on the list is Hunter, and for this one, I do believe I started off with bird traps. I remember setting up those little bird snares and doing that for a bit, and then I think once I had red Chinchampas unlocked. I think I did those for a while. And black Chinchampas I never really messed with because they were in the wilderness, and I just didn't want to have to run the risk of dying and be interrupted. Oh, I just remembered, it was salamanders. That's what I did for a good part of the mid-level hunter grind. I was doing the different color salamanders. You have the green ones that are like in Mauritania. You have the orange ones that are in the desert. You have the red ones, which are next to the ZMI altar, I think. And then of course you have the black ones that are also in the wilderness, but that spot really isn't a PK heavy spot since people that are training there don't have a lot of money on them. If you get killed at that spot, I mean, they're just doing it just to be mean. They're not going to get any loot. So yeah, I did that. And then once I had the level for Herblore, I did that all the way to 99. I found Herblore to be it was a very chill skill. I preferred it over Chinchampas. I know it's kind of divided. Some people really enjoy catching Chinchampas and then some people hate it. I was one of those people that didn't really enjoy it, so Herblore was perfect for me. And I was lucky enough to get the Herby pet, so we're pretty much done with that. If I do want to go for all pets, I still need to get the Chinchampa pet though, so I think eventually we'll have to go into the wilderness and try it out. Up next we have mining. Mining is another one of those skills that I didn't really enjoy training too much. When I was a little kid, I really did enjoy it, going to Al Kharid and mining all that ore and making the long run back to the bank, and then eventually making the bronze bars and the iron bars. It was fun when I was young, but now it was just, I don't know, it was more annoying than anything. Getting the mining requirement for Dragon Slayer 2 was a pain. I remember I spent a couple hours in the mining guild just power mining iron. Granite I never really messed with. I know granite is like the best XP you can get for mining, or one of the best at least. I think blast mining is also pretty good, but that's another skill that I never tried out. I think the only time that I tried blast mining out was whenever Twisted League was going on, because you were awarded points for completing some tasks over there, but yeah, didn't really mess with it. Now as for what I did, I basically power mined iron all the way until I'd say maybe like 70, and then at that point I did Motherlode Mine. At first I didn't really enjoy Motherlode Mine, but after a while it kind of grew on me. It was pretty chill and it was decent XP. I think once I hit 92, you can mine amethyst, and once I had that, I just did amethyst all the way to 99. Now at first I was expecting amethyst to be kind of like sacred eel fishing, where you can just fish in one spot, catch a couple, and then, you know, cut them and you don't have to go to the bank. But I was pretty surprised when I found out that you can only mine one piece of amethyst per wall. So when I found that out, I was like, man, this really isn't going to be as AFK as I thought. But with the combination of expert mining gloves and I believe one of the elite diaries perhaps, it was pretty nice actually. I was able to get 2 at a time every now and then, and sometimes the ore vein wouldn't even deplete, so I would be able to stay there for a while. The only annoying thing was that sometimes you had people there competing with you. Most of the time it was gold farmers, and they didn't care if you were on that spot. They would get on it just to try to get you out of their world, so that was the only annoying part. But from 92 to 99, amethyst was a pretty nice method. Smithing is up next, and for that one, it's another one of those where I pretty much just did whatever I had the level to do. I made plate bodies of different tiers. I can really only remember the last bit of it. I did do Blast Furnace for a good chunk of it. I think Blast Furnace was actually pretty nice. XP wise, it was the best way to get some requirements for quests, so I actually recommend doing that. I mean, it obviously isn't as AFK as other methods, but you do get a nice amount of XP, and if you do the right bars, you can also make some decent money there. So yeah, most of my smithing was just smithing random plate bodies and doing a lot of gold at the blast furnace. I remember also doing adamant plate bodies for a while, and I think I was doing dart tips as well, but I want to say that adamant plate bodies was the way to go all the way to 99, because dart tips, although you can make some money doing that, it's of course slower XP. But it is more AFK since you have to wait for each one of those bars to individually be turned into dart tips. And once you hit 99, you pretty much unlock a nice AFK moneymaker. You can just make rune 2-hand swords, and you'll make a pretty nice profit making those. Now on to the next skill, we have fishing. Fishing is actually one of the more enjoyable skills for me. I really enjoyed it as a kid playing the game, and even now I enjoy it. Recently I did get the fishing pet at Sacred Eels, which is what I did for a great majority of my fishing to 99. I think as soon as I got the level for Sacred Eels, I just did that all the way to 99 and post 99 whenever I was going for the pet. It's a very AFK method, and not only do you get some fishing XP, but you also get some cooking XP. Not to mention a nice amount of money from the Zora scales that you get from the eels. Now before that, it was pretty much just, I think I started off with, of course you have to do shrimp to start off with, but I think for the early levels it was mostly power fishing, trout, and salmon, and then I think I did that for a good while up until like 60 or something. And then I moved over to, I think it was monkfish. Once you do that one quest, I think it's Swan Song. I did monkfish for a while, and yeah, I think that was pretty much all I did. I did monkfish up until I had the level for Sacred Eels. I never really messed around with sharks or anything at the fishing guild. The only time I fished sharks was whenever I was going for the bigger shark, or whenever I just felt like AFKing somewhere else besides the Sacred Eel spot. But yeah, I'd say Sacred Eels was the majority of my training as far as fishing goes. Now, as for cooking, this one was another method where I obviously did whatever I had the level to do, but with one slight difference. I didn't have a lot of money at the time that I was training cooking, so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't burning any of my food, wasting any of it basically. So I only cooked food that I knew that I would never burn. Now, I was using the Hasidious Kitchen, and I think I was also using the cooking gauntlets to maximize my, I guess, burn rate. Or minimize it, I guess you'd say. But yeah, a great majority of my cooking was done in the Hasidious Kitchen, since you do get that nice little boost. And before that, I think I was probably cooking some of the earlier food in the Rogue's Den, since there is a person you can bank with right next to a fire, so it's pretty fast. And I do remember finishing off 99 with anglerfish in the Hasidious Kitchen, and I do believe it was the day of the Super Bowl. I can't remember what number it was, but I'm pretty sure it was Eagles versus Patriots, so there's another little fun fact for you. Another pointless thing that I just happened to remember. Now up next we have firemaking, and for that one I just did the logs that I could do at whatever level I had. I did the best ones that I could do up until 50, and then at 50 I did Wintertod all the way to 99. And yes, firemaking was the first skill that I got to 99. As soon as I hit 50 I was like, maybe it's time to finally grind out a 99 and make my former younger self very, very happy. And yeah, so after many years of not having a single 99, I finally decided to grind out Wintertod for a couple days. And actually no, it wasn't a couple days, it was probably like a week, maybe a week and a half. But I did eventually get the 99 firemaking, and I was sporting that cape everywhere I went. Up next we have woodcutting, and again this was another skill that I really enjoyed when I was younger. This was my go-to moneymaker. I used to cut yew trees all the time. That was the dream in free-to-play, to reach level 60 to cut those yews and sell them to other people. And for whatever reason, speaking about moneymakers like this reminds me of getting that rare law rune from the barbarians in Barbarian Village. I would go and kill them there for the rune, because each one I could sell for about 500 GP to 1000 depending on the person and I guess how rich they were. I just remember that law runes were a pretty good way to make a little bit of money in free-to-play, since they were used for teleports. Which also reminds me that back in the day, whenever you would teleport somewhere, you had the chance to get lost in this like weird area, and you basically had to like find the right lever to teleport you to your destination. I'm assuming that was just a thing to stop people from botting teleports, since it is a pretty nice way to train your magic. But yeah, enough of that. Back to woodcutting. I basically did whatever trees I had the level to do. I remember I did normal trees up until oak, which was 15, and then I did oaks all the way to willows, which was 30, and then I think from 30 to 60 I continued doing the willows, and then once I hit 60 I went to the woodcutting guild to get the invisible boost, and I did yew trees from 60 to 90. Now, I did do magic trees because I was excited to cut those magical looking trees with those cool animations that they have, but it just wasn't the best way to level up your woodcutting. It takes way too long to cut the magic logs, and they really aren't worth too much nowadays, so it wasn't even worth it GP wise. I think you would actually still make more money cutting the yew trees instead of the magic trees, just because you can cut yew trees a whole lot faster. But yeah, once I reached 90, I just did redwoods all the way to 99, and again, that was another very AFK way to train up my woodcutting. And no, I did not get the beaver pet, so we still have to go back there and grind out for that pet, which I'm definitely going to be doing now since I already have the fishing pet. So instead of fishing at Sacred Eels, we'll be cutting redwoods at either the Woodcutting Guild or the one in the Farming Guild that we plant ourselves. And last but not least, we do have the farming skill, and I will admit I went a long time before actually training it just because I didn't feel like learning all of the routes that I had to take. Farming seemed like one of those complicated skills where I didn't know what to plant and I didn't know where to go. But one day I decided just to look up a guide. Don't remember whose guide it was, but it definitely helped me out on deciding what to plant first. Now, as far as what I did specifically, I can't really remember because I pretty much just did whatever I had the level to do. Again, this was at a time where I had enough money, so I just went the most expensive route and the fastest route. I do remember I was doing fruit trees, regular trees. I do remember spending a whole lot of money on the magic saplings because I wanted the best XP, and I did do a lot of herb farming as well so that I could make some, I guess, extra GP to pay for those trees. I think very early on when I didn't have a lot of money, I was just focusing on the herb trees and the very inexpensive fruit trees, but again, towards the end, whenever the cash stack was looking a whole lot better, I just went with magic trees, and yeah, they are very expensive, but you get a lot of XP. And it does take some time to reach 99, but in terms of how much effort you have to put in, it's actually pretty quick. Really, all you gotta do is just wait for your stuff to grow and then go and replace it. I suppose if you wanted to train it more actively, you could go to Tithe Farm and do that, but I'm not really a big fan of that. The only time that I've done it was during the Twisted League, and that was just for some points. Besides that, I'd recommend just looking up a guide on what stuff to plant, because really it can seem complicated at times, but once you get it down, it's pretty easy. Even now, after having 99, I still do my fruit tree runs, and I also do mushroom and seaweed and what else? Oh yeah, the mahogany trees on Fossil Island. And the only reason I'm doing that is just so I can get a chance at the farming pet. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. This went on a lot longer than I thought it would. I hope you don't mind. Of course, some people do say that they enjoy some of these videos where I just talk about, I guess, my account and how I did certain things. But yeah, pretty long video, but I hope you enjoyed. Again, a lot of these were just very AFK methods. There, of course, are much better methods that you can do instead of what I did, but this is what worked for me, and I think it's important to do what you enjoy. Don't, necessarily grind out the most efficient thing just for the sake of completing it, faster. It's all about the journey after all, so just make sure you enjoy it. Well, that'll be it for this video. Again, I hope you enjoyed this long video about me just talking about what I've done with this account. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.